Today I have the privilege of sharing with you the legacy of love of our family, and specifically, of course, the story of David and Danielle and their amazing love story from a mother's perspective. Let me say first that this legacy of love started with God. He is the one that planned and created love and marriage. Love and romance was all his wonderful idea. He says in 1 John 4:19 that we love because he first loved us. We are so thankful for this wonderful gift and beautiful plan God has lavished on us. For John and me, we look to the parents we came from. My parents were married for 57 years before my dad passed away. John's parents were married for 68 years before his mother passed away. Both of our parents loved each other very much. John and I will be celebrating our 50th anniversary in August of this year. We are so grateful to have been on this incredible journey together for all these years. We have been blessed with 4 wonderful sons, 3 lovely daughter-in-laws, and 5 precious grandchildren. What a gift they all are. Today I have the joy of sharing with you the love story of our son David and his beautiful new bride, Danielle. They met in late 2016 and started dating in early 2017. David and Danielle met at the company Deloitte, where they both had consulting jobs in the change management area of the company. They were both promoted from consultants to senior consultants, and David is now a manager. When Danielle was transferred to Los Angeles from Houston, where her parents live, the HR person that welcomed Danielle to the company happened to connect her with our son David, who she said was well connected in the company and the Los Angeles area, and would be able to help her get oriented at her new location in the company. He did this, but he was dating someone else at the time, and then at the company Christmas party, they struck up a further acquaintance. Danielle noticed that David brought his brother as his plus one, and I think David wanted her to notice that. As they started to get acquainted, and there was definitely a mutual attraction there, this led to a first date. David told us he had a crush on a girl at work named Danielle. Danielle told her parents that she found the new gold standard of dating in David. They were so drawn to each other. They had so much in common. They both loved music of all kinds. She laughed at all his jokes. That's a key right there. If they laugh at your jokes, that's pretty important. They just enjoyed each other so much from the very start. Over time, it became very obvious that they were quite smitten with each other. As they spent time together, they always did so many interesting and fun things. Living in Southern California, there are so many great options of things to do. The beach, bike riding, hiking, concerts, and they love playing games. They always found cool restaurants in LA, comedy theater, baseball games. David playing random songs on his guitar or piano that he would make up on the spot to play for her. One of the many ways I knew she could be the one for him is how supportive and into his music she was. This is a big part of who David is. I knew the woman he would marry would have to be on the same page with music and really appreciate his talent. They're both very musical and they loved all the same kind of music. They loved surprising each other with special concerts and events. She loves Tony Bennett, and he once surprised her and took her to the Hollywood Bowl to see him in concert. The more they were together, experiencing the joy of realizing how they felt about each other, they were falling in love and wanted to spend as much time together as possible. She lived in Venice Beach, and he lived in Sherman Oaks. It was a little distance, but they made it work. When you love someone, it's never too far, right? The song, Can't Help Falling in Love with You, is one of their favorite old classics. They're kind of an interesting couple that way. They really love a lot of the older music and all the new music, too. But Can't Help Falling in Love with You is one of their favorites, especially by Elvis Presley. So John and I would like to sing that song for you right now.
Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life through, for I can only you love
I hope you were watching the pictures. Did you notice the pictures of all their dating times? So that was fun. So they really couldn't help falling in love because they were meant for each other. And this was all part of God's wonderful plan for them. But let me back up a little bit and talk about their first date. On the very first date, Danielle asked David what he thought about God and Jesus. That happens to be David's favorite subject. He talked to her about how Jesus was the smartest person that ever lived and why he thought that, and many other things. Danielle came from a strong Christian home, but over time had developed some doubts and began questioning her faith. In a group like this, there may be many of us who have had a broad range of doubts in our lives, and maybe even right now. Is the Bible really true? Is there something after death? Is Jesus really who he claimed to be? What about the horrible things that happen in this world? There are seasons of time where we may question or doubt. She was at a place in her life where she couldn't really answer those questions adequately. And she was no longer able to say, I'm a believer. In all honesty, she went through a number of years going to church, exploring and seeking out other ideas and philosophies. In spite of this, she had always thought Jesus was wonderful. Jesus himself was wonderful. Enter stage left, David Miller. David himself had gone through a number of years grappling with his own faith. I remember as a teenager in high school, he had such deep and searching questions. They had a hard time finding answers to dilemmas and doubts and questions. And I remember John having long discussions with him and late into the night trying to figure out how to answer these deep questions that he had. But when he made the decision to go to Biola University in La Mirada, California, which is a premier and one of the outstanding Christian liberal arts universities in the country, he got connected to the right things and the right people. People like C.S. Lewis and Dallas Willard, who are Christian philosophers and theologians, and they spoke to him on that deep thinking level that he really related to. He was searching for answers, and he began finding answers to so many of his questions. He even took a C.S. Lewis class where the whole thing was about his work and his life. At that time, David really began to grow in his faith and became a serious young man of prayer. When David and Danielle met, he had been in a place for a number of years where his faith and knowledge were really strong. He had truly fallen in love with Jesus Christ and was looking for someone who loved Jesus the way he did. He had an intuition about Danielle. He saw someone in her that was really truly seeking, and she always loved going to church. He saw in Danielle tremendous potential. In the parable of the sower in the Bible, to David, she was clearly good soil. In her disillusionment with religion, and through spending time with David, she started to get a different vision of who Jesus really is that she'd never had before. Jesus was presented to her as though he was someone irresistible, and he truly is. The more time David and Danielle spent talking about Jesus, listening to great podcasts, reading the Bible, going to their great church called The Garden in Long Beach, which they both really love, a new and fresh, exciting vision of Jesus became attractive. There's a verse in the Bible in Jeremiah 29:13-14 that says, "You will seek me and find me if you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord. That is such an amazing and beautiful promise. Well, 10 days before Easter in 2018, David decided to pray for her every day, asking the Lord to do something really amazing on Easter Sunday. Well, God was already at work in her life and was already answering David's prayer, because on the day before Easter, she told David that on Thursday she had taken a long walk on the beach, really doing some thinking, and came to the conclusion on her own that she didn't want to be on the fence anymore and wanted to make Jesus Lord of her life. What a joy. On Easter Sunday, their church had a big outdoor service at the park, and they were baptizing people who wanted to declare their faith in Jesus to everyone. Danielle told David she'd been thinking about being baptized, and David had already decided that he wanted to be baptized, even though he had been baptized as a young boy. He felt that his faith and love for Christ was in a different place now at this stage of his life than he was when he was just a boy. And so they decided to be baptized together. They talked to the pastor, and the pastor asked our son Steve, who's also part of the Garden Church, if he would like to help baptize his brother. And I have some pictures that show this occasion where the pastor is talking to them, and Steve is on the right there, and look at the joy on their faces. This was such a wonderful and beautiful day for them. And they just hugged each other because they were just so full of joy. And it was a really big day for them. After that day and in the next few months, David's love for her really became more fulfilled. She began to really grow, seeking out being mentored by one of the pastors of the church. After the baptism, all this love he had for her became even more important. And 7 months later, David proposed. Now, in planning ahead for an eventual proposal, David asked me a number of months before how I would feel about giving my mother's wedding ring to him so that he could use it in creating a ring for Danielle. I told him Grandma would be very honored to pass a ring down in that way, and I would also be thrilled. It would just be so special. Several months went by, and one morning in mid-October 2018, David called me and said to me, "Hi, Mom, is Dad home too?" John was working out in his office, and I took the phone out there to his office, which is also our guest house. We sat down on the couch together, and David began to speak. He said, "Mom and Dad, for some reason I just couldn't really get to sleep last night. And as I lay in bed, I was thinking about how it's time to propose to Danielle." He said he began to feel a whole vision unfolding before him, like it was being revealed by the Lord himself. He thought that because it came to him in such an orderly and clear way, that it was like a complete picture. Then he started to share his plan. "Mom and Dad, I want to propose to Danielle in the same place that you proposed to Mom, Dad." That place was Solvang, a little Danish town about an hour past Santa Barbara, California, at a park. I felt a lump in my throat start to form, and tears of emotion kind of welled up in my eyes. Then he added, "I want to do it there because I want our marriage to be patterned after yours, after your marriage. I want to love Danielle the way you have faithfully loved my mom all these years." He went on to say, "And I want to propose to her on my birthday," which was coming up in about a month, November 15th, 2018. "I want to do it on my birthday because from that day forward, I wanted to symbolize that my birthday is no longer all about me. It's now about her and our life together. To symbolize the sacrificial love that I want to love her with." And for her engagement ring, he said, if I was still willing, he would like to have Grandma's ring to use in the creation of a custom ring for Danielle. "Of course," I said, "Grandma would be honored and nothing would make me happier." Then he told me the significance of her ring to him. Grandma, my mother, was a woman of prayer, daily praying for every single one of her family, children and grandchildren, every single day. She would always tell us, "I love you and I pray for you every day." It was always such a sweet thing that she said to all of us at different times. That had made an impression on David, and he said to us that day, "I want Grandma's ring to signify that her prayers made an impact on my life, and I believe has helped me to be the person that I am today." And he wanted his and Danielle's marriage to have prayer as their foundation. By that time, we were deeply moved, and we knew this had all come from the Lord and from our son's heart, who desires to follow Jesus every day. Needless to say, we were beside ourselves with joy as we heard our son speak from his heart this way. Then we said, "David, it's been 48 years since we've been to Solvang. Would you mind if we go up there and scope it out and try to find the exact spot so you'll know where to go?" So that's exactly what we did. Not long after that, we drove up to Solvang, but first stopped at David's to drop off my mother's precious rings to him. We drove up to Solvang and stayed there overnight, then looked that day and the next at the different parks around, and we settled on the park that we knew was the park. And when we were sure of the place where our proposal took place, we let David know. And I have a picture of that, Hans Christian Andersen Park. And you probably can't see the writing on it. It said it was established in 1970, this park. And we had been there in November 1969 for John's proposal. Then again in 1970, on the anniversary of our proposal. It had officially become a park in 1970. I'm sure it was just such a monumental day in that park's history that they decided we got to make this an official park now. So Hans Christian Andersen Park. So we found what we sensed was the place where our proposal had taken place. On that day back in 1969, November, I had no idea that John was planning to propose to me either. I thought we were just going for a picnic at the park. And so fast forward to 2018, October 2018, while we were there, it was a perfect day in October, the day we were there. No one was at this beautiful, magical park that day. There was a really cute playground and not one child was there. Just a gentle breeze, peacefulness, and blue sky. It felt so serene there. I just felt this interesting sense of peace and tranquility. There was just something about it. There was an aura about it to me that I felt, this is it. I know this is the place. So we pinned a spot on the Google map and sent it to David. Shortly after that, David decided it was time to ask her parents for Danielle's hand in marriage. They were going to Houston for Danielle's birthday. David arranged for her younger brother to keep watch while David snuck out of the guest room and downstairs to ask her parents while she was asleep in her room. So he wanted to get the brother there in case she ventured out of her room to keep her in the room. Well, when he asked them, they were absolutely ecstatic. And her dad said, "I can't wait to pay for this wedding." When the big day came for the proposal, November 15, 2018, David was ready to go. He had told Danielle what he wanted to do for his birthday. He said, "I've never been to Solvang before, and I'd love to have a picnic there at a park." And she said, "Okay, let me look up some parks there." And he said, "Oh, you know what? I already checked. I already looked, and there's one called Hans Christian Andersen Park that looks really good." So he said he was a bit nervous and quiet on this most special birthday of his life, on that 2-hour drive to the park. David had planned all this out to a T, and he'd put a lot of work into it, just wanting to make sure everything was perfect. He has a friend who's a professional videographer. His friend Sam has a brother who is a professional photographer. So he hired both of them to go all the way up to Santa Barbara, to Solvang. And they set up, they came at least an hour before the arrival of David and Danielle. They set up their equipment in the castle of the little playground. They were hidden in that castle and they couldn't be seen. They placed a rock See the rock in the grass? They placed a rock in the grass and informed David via text where to find it, so they could have a clear shot of the proposal. And you know something wonderful that I think the Lord did for them? Not one person showed up at that park all day long. Not one child tried to get on that adorable playground. Just like the day 1 month before when John and I had been there. That was kind of a mystery, really, because it's such a great park. And it was a beautiful blue sky day in the middle of November. The Lord is so good. He had reserved that whole park just for them for that day. When David and Danielle pulled into the park, David went sailing in there. There's a road that goes through, went sailing in there, going past several things that Daniel casually wondered, oh, he's not looking around. You know, he's not looking at anything on the side. But he knew exactly where he was headed. Remember the pin and the Google map and all that? He knew exactly where he was headed, and his adrenaline was flowing big time. This was the biggest moment of his life so far. When they got to the spot, Danielle asked David where he'd like her to put the blanket down for their picnic lunch. Would you like to sit under the shade of this tree here? Or in the sun? It was kind of a really warm day, and the sun seemed like an interesting choice to her, to put a blanket in the sun. But guess what? That's where the rock was. The rock was in the sun. So, but she's easygoing, and she was fine with it. I mean, it's David's birthday, he can do what he wants, right? Before she had a chance to sit down on the blanket, this was David's big moment. The time had come. He got down on one knee, and to Danielle's utter shock and surprise, because she never would have suspected David would celebrate his birthday by asking her to marry him. But he got down on one knee, and you know what he said? He said, 49 years ago this month, my dad proposed to my mom right here in this very place. I want to follow in my dad's footsteps because I've found the woman of my dreams. And I want to love you the way he's been loving my mom for 48 years. I want to spend my whole life with you. Danielle, Barbara, John, my sweets, will you marry me? And of course, she said yes with great enthusiasm. When he got back on his feet, he put the beautiful custom ring on her finger and told her the story of Grandma's ring and told her the significance of it. He had used the gold of my mother's ring, had it melted down and remolded to a design that he and the jeweler had created. He wasn't able to use the center diamond, but chose a 1.5 carat diamond with all my mother's smaller diamonds in the beautiful setting. And then he got a couple of other diamonds, one on each side of the large diamond. Would you like to see this beautiful moment in their lives? I just happen to have the video here to show you. But before I show you, I also have to mention that David planned a surprise engagement party a few days later at our son Steve's rooftop apartment overlooking the Long Beach waterfront. We were not able to attend because John was preaching here at Community Church that Sunday, and the whole family was coming in just a few days for Thanksgiving, where we planned to have our own little surprise engagement party. Little, you know, just our family. But Danielle's parents were on vacation in Vietnam, but when they heard about the party, they wanted to be there. And so they flew in for the party. They weren't going to miss this occasion. It was a pretty big occasion. Of course, this was a complete surprise to Danielle. She thought they were going out for dinner with Steve to celebrate their engagement. Her brother Davis and his girlfriend Zelda came from Atlanta for the occasion. Pretty special. I just want to say that Danielle's parents are outstanding people, and we are so honored that they are now our friends. We just love them. So here's the video that I promised you. Here.
I'm gonna take this video so I can look at it later.
We're getting a Christmas tree.
We're doing what?
Getting a Christmas tree.
Yeah!
David, shut up! I'm kidding. We had to.
Congratulations, you guys.
I love you so much.
Oh my God.
What? Zelda, what the hell?
What's up, brother? What's up, man? Guys, when I got down on one knee, I told Danielle that 49 years ago, my dad proposed to my mom in this exact spot. I want to follow in my dad's footsteps because I found the woman of my dreams, and I want to treat her in the way that my dad's treated my mom for the last 49 years. But they're not the only role model for us in this journey we're about to embark on. Kelly and Scott here, who are standing right here, are two people who I admire more than I can express and more than they know. To be honest with you guys, like when I first met Kelly and Scott, that for me was the confirmation that Danielle was the one. Because when I met them, I saw, wow, these are two people that are incredibly in love with each other. They are in love with their kids, and these people are people of great, powerful integrity. And seeing that in them, I knew that this was a woman that I had to fight for. And, you know, here we are today, you know, almost 2 years later, and, you know, these are my future in-laws right here. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love you guys so much. I love all of you standing here, and just thankful for all your friendships. And I love you, babe. Let's plan this thing.
How about the drones, huh? That's pretty nice. And just as a side note, I want to mention that when you saw where Steve lives, our son, just down the boardwalk a little way is where David and Danielle now live after they got married. So they're close. They're kind of neighbors there. So that's kind of fun. But when the family came for Thanksgiving to our house, that was that celebration. When they came to our house for Thanksgiving, we surprised them with our own little celebration. Special dinner, gifts, a special blessing from John that he gave, decorations, and a very special cake. So there's our, just around our table, our family, our Prague kids couldn't be there, but we were all there and just kind of talking and sharing and opening gifts. But here is the cake. And that was, does that place look familiar to you? Yeah, but I found this great baker here in town, and she replicated the place, the park, where he had proposed. And we had for the centerpiece, it's all edible. And then around the side, I don't know if you saw that, around the side was the little Danish village of Solvang, all around the side. I think the first picture showed that. And so it was just really, they just loved it. And it was such a fun thing to do after their proposal. Then we said we had a little surprise for them. A month earlier, David had surprised Danielle for her birthday and took her to a Josh Groban concert. He's one of her favorites. They had sent us from the concert, Josh singing the song Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Remember that movie? It is a song that talks about using your imagination, dreaming big, and the possibilities in life if we just allow ourselves to experience them. And it talks about being a world changer. I told them that together, I felt they would be world changers. And I thought the song really depicted this new season of life, dreaming and planning a wedding and a future together as a married couple. So we decided to prepare this song for them. Just a couple of days before they came, I'm saying, why don't we just see if we can do that song for them? You know, because that meant a lot to them and they sent it to us. So John sang and I played this song for them, Pure Imagination. John, come on up. I could see you there with these legs. So we'll sing that for you, or he'll sing it for you.
Living there you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Pure imagination. When we were finished with this song, they both jumped up off the couch and hugged us and said this was the best gift that we could give them. Because it was so special to them and to us, David and I decided to do it for the mother-son dance at the wedding reception. And here's some pictures of David and I dancing at the reception. It's a very special moment for me. And they had a fabulous live band for the wedding. And the young man who sang as we danced did such a beautiful job. The song fit David so well with his imagination and always thinking big. This is just a little, that was just a little wedding preview for you, but we're not there yet. David had taken dance lessons for the wedding, and he taught me beautiful dance steps, so that was just really fun. So then we met Danielle's parents a few months later, and the months of planning began. Her parents were able to give her the wedding of her dreams. David and Danielle found the wedding venue of their dreams high up in Palos Verdes Estates, California, overlooking the ocean in Los Angeles. What a breathtaking view. Surreal looking. We got to see it in February when we all met in California. So take a look at that spot. It was just beautiful. And Danielle's parents are to the left. And so we just had such a fun time meeting them and starting to plan for the wedding. Danielle's mother, Kelly, is an artist, and she designed the beautiful wedding invitations, and the beautiful calligraphy was done by her close friend. Kelly drew the picture of the venue, La Venta Inn, which, by the way, is an historic place where many famous stars and people have stayed, danced, and eaten dinner in bygone days. It has a rich history. And here's the invitation, if you can see that a little bit, just an idea. They were very elegant, and so much love went into that. They were just beautiful. And the stamps on the envelope were all had special significance to David and Danielle. The states that they came from, the state they live in, and other things. And so it's just real meaningful. Now, fast forward to July 5th, 2 days before the wedding. We planned the catered rehearsal dinner up on Steve's rooftop apartment. What a beautiful, magical evening. Wonderful food, celebration, French cafe music in the background, and very special words were shared by John and David as he and Danielle shared thoughts on how they wanted their marriage to be Christ-centered as they continued to grow in Him. And Scott John, which their last name happens to be John, Scott John, Danielle's dad, shared some beautiful thoughts, and other members of the wedding party as well. All our kids helped to decorate for this occasion. Truly, the Miller Design team was in rare form for this occasion. It was beautiful. What a night. And I have some pictures to show you from that. As we hosted this dinner on top of our son Steve's apartment there overlooking the ocean. Beautiful spot, beautiful evening. That was before people were there, obviously. But you just kind of get a feel for what a fun area that is. So here we are we finally make it to the wedding. The wedding day finally came, July 7th, 2018. There were so many special moments on this heavenly wedding day. One of my favorite moments happened about 20 minutes before the start of the ceremony. The bride, bridesmaids, and moms were in this adorable bridal cottage that the venue has. At one point, David surprisingly knocked on the door and came into the cottage. I noticed that John slipped in the back, too. Let me just say, this venue picture is what it looked like, of course, before everybody came. And it was just lovely. I wanted you to see that. But anyway, they came in the room, and John slipped in the back. I'm thinking, what's going on that they would show up in the bridal cottage? David walked directly over to me and brought Danielle with him. And he said, Mom, I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes. Remember, this was 20 minutes before the ceremony was about to begin. I noticed that David was so fully present that whole day, just taking in and savoring every moment. Just calm, and it was beautiful to see. David and Danielle took me into a beautiful little room, and David began to speak to me. I was completely overwhelmed and surprised. He said, "Mom, I want to thank you so very much for the beautiful rehearsal dinner you put together for us. And I also want to thank you for being such a great mom all these years, and for everything you've done for me." As I was getting that familiar lump in my throat, he brought out a little black box, a little black velvet box that he had been hiding behind his back. He said, "Mom, I took the center diamond from your mother's ring and took it to my jeweler that made Danielle's ring. And I designed a necklace for you to thank you for everything you've done. I love you, Mom." Well, I was deeply moved and cried, of course. The necklace was beautiful. He designed a little setting, kind of a triangular setting with a diamond in the middle. This was so completely unexpected, but we did a little three-way group hug and proceeded to head toward the lineup to begin the wedding. And that's a moment I'll never forget, because that really came from David's heart. It was very, very special to me. And here's a picture of David kissing his mom there at the wedding. That wasn't that moment I told you about, but it was a sweet moment. And he does love his mama cakes, as he calls me still. So we have a sweet relationship. He is the youngest. He's my baby. The wedding was a real family affair. Our kids who live in Prague were there, of course. David had his 3 brothers at the wedding. And both David and Danielle had 7 attendants each, but 3 of his attendants were his 3 brothers. And here's a picture. I wish it was bigger. I wish you could see this. Is a picture of our 4 sons. Can you see that? Can you see those guys? You know, they are all such a joy to us. They're such great men, and we feel so blessed to have them as our sons. And Steve was his head best man, and his 2 best friends that he grew up with here in Tucson were also best men, or 3. Our 2 daughter-in-laws, Elizabeth and Barbara, were bridesmaids. Jeremy and Barbara's 5-year-old son, Leo, was the sign bearer. Here comes the bride. And Abby, our oldest son and daughter-in-law's 8-year-old girl, was the flower girl. John officiated the wedding, and he did such a personalized, magnificent, and meaningful job. I mean, it was so, so beautiful. And now I want to show you our whole family. Again, I wish it was a bigger picture, but just to tell you that to the left of the bride, to the left is our oldest son, Brian, and his wife, Elizabeth, and their 4 children are all on the left. Hannah, Matthew, Isabel, and Abby. And somehow she took her shoes off at one point, and she's barefooted in this picture, but she's 8 years old. So, and then on the far right is Jeremy, our second son, and his wife, Barbara, and then their little son, Leo, and Steve is in between Barbara and John. So that's our whole family picture, and all 14 of us, as it is right now. And so, anyway, that was really special. Danielle was a beautiful bride. She looked like a princess, and David, the charming prince. Their love for each other was so very evident that day, before that day, and ever since. Their love for each other is written all over them. Our niece Candace, who's a professional singer, sang 2 Disney songs that Danielle had always wanted sung. For the bridesmaids' entrance, Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty was sung by Candace. And as her father and Danielle walked down the aisle together, she sang the song So This Is Love from Cinderella, the old classic Cinderella. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And it was a magical and magnificent wedding. And then with that incredible ocean view in the background, it was spectacular. Before the reception dinner began, when David and Danielle were introduced as they entered the lovely ballroom, and before everyone was seated for dinner, they immediately performed their beautiful first dance. The song they had selected for this special dance was the old classic song, The Very Thought of You, which was a song they felt really expressed how they feel about each other. David had discovered this song by Nat King Cole, around the time he met Danielle and said it was one of the most romantic songs that he'd ever heard. And so I wasn't surprised when they selected that for their dance. So right now, John and I are going to do that song for you. John's going to sing, and I'll play.
Everyone ought to do. I'm living in a kind of daydream. I'm happy as a king. And funny though it may seem, to me that's everything. The mere idea of you, this longing here for you. You'll never know how slow the moments go till I'm near to you. I see your face in every flower, your eyes in stars above. It's just the thought of you, the very thought of you, my love. It's just the thought of you, the very thought of you, my
Okay, the reception was gorgeous and very, very elegantly decorated. Delicious food, great and spellbinding, meaningful and honoring speeches. Three best men gave very moving speeches. Danielle's dad gave a beautiful, eloquent speech. And her brother, who was the man of honor, and her roommate bridesmaid, just really touching. We just all enjoyed that part of it very much. We enjoyed beautiful live music through the dinner reception with the live band that was there. Then for the special mother, son, and father-daughter dance, of course we danced, David and I danced to Pure Imagination, which you've already seen. And Danielle and her father danced to Heaven, I'm in Heaven. It's called Cheek to Cheek, I think. And Scott had taken dance lessons and taught his daughter the dance steps. And it was just beautiful to see them gliding across the floor like professional dancers. And of course the band sang and played for that. These two dances took place after dinner. What a beautiful celebration it was. Well, you know, I have a short highlight video of the wedding I'd like to show you. And I think we'll just show that right now.
over the last few years of getting to see you all come together, I know sparks started to fly, and it's a bit of a blur because I feel like once you guys got together, it just made sense. And I couldn't see you all without each other. And as individuals, I can attest that they both had this light and this amazing sense of love about each other, but when they got together, it just was magnified.
Getting a little weak in the knees here. Getting a little weak in the knees. Gotta keep them bent.
Dear Savior, we stand together, Scott and I. We've endeavored all these years to point our family to you as the sovereign Lord of our home, and now we happily give our wholehearted blessing to this marriage. We ask you to enable David and Danielle to continue this legacy of putting Jesus Christ first and foremost as they begin their own exciting journey as husband and wife.
I, David, take you, Danielle,
I, Danielle, take you, David,
to be my wedded wife,
to be my wedded husband,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
whether life is easy or difficult,
whether rich or poor.
whether healthy or sick,
I commit to love and cherish you
for the rest of my life.
for the rest of my whole life.
By the authority vested in me as a minister of the good news of Jesus Christ, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
wedding started at 5 o'clock, and we were all at the venue until 10:30 that night. The evening just flew by with all the dancing, laughter, and celebration. And then suddenly, too quickly, it was time to say goodbye. John and I we went out in the back and looked at that view at night with the lights of the city. We just kind of wanted to stay and camp out there. It was so beautiful. And so here they are. It didn't show as well with the video, but here they are running through the baby's breath being thrown on them, and we all showered them with good wishes and baby's breath. And they ran to their vintage Rolls Royce, which of course was rented, and it was a surprise to Danielle. They waved goodbye to all of us and then rode off into the beginning of their honeymoon. And there's just a still shot of them waving from their car. So that was just such a happy moment, sad in a way because the party was over once they left. But then there's another picture here that I have. Oh, that's somebody else that was taken off on their honeymoon about 48 years prior. So there we were, taken off. I thought you might like to see that kind of similar thing. David surprised Danielle. Now I'm moving into the little bit about the honeymoon part. David surprised Danielle with how he made all the arrangements for their magnificent honeymoon. All she knew was that they were going to Fiji and New Zealand. That's all she knew, but didn't know any of the other details. As you can imagine, she completely trusted David, judging from his track record. He's always thinking of really good things and putting a lot of time into planning. She was constantly amazed through their honeymoon. It started with 2 nights at a hotel in Beverly Hills, then off to Fiji for a week, then New Zealand for the second week. A dream honeymoon for sure. And I have a picture here from their honeymoon. It was just a few days into their honeymoon, and they was kind enough to send us a picture. They were at this private villa on 4 acres of land with their, pool there and then the water out there. And not only that, but David hired a woman to come and prepare brunch and dinner every night at the villa, and also do the housekeeping things. So they really enjoyed that, for sure. So now the picture of the tree and the verse. There's that verse up there. I have found the one whom my soul loves, from Song of Solomon 3:4. I mean, just think about that. It's such a beautiful thing. I have found the one whom my soul loves. And that's a beautiful verse, and that's the little love tree. That represents the tree that was in the park, where they were going to either have a picnic under the tree or in the sun. And Terry Berenger did all these graphics, and she did such a beautiful job. But that verse, not only applies to David and Danielle in our story today, but it is also true of David's parents, John and me, and Danielle's parents as well. It's such an amazing experience to spend your life with that one who's your soulmate and the love of your life. John has been a wonderful role model for our 4 sons as a caring and romantic man. I believe he has been an example to them all of their lives. I want to end this legacy of love time together with you, and show you where these creative, romantic ideas came from, where they kind of originated. And I'm going to have John come up, and he's going to sing a song that he sang to me on our wedding day, almost 50 years ago. And you can go to the picture of our wedding, where John is actually singing this song to me.
Oh my goodness, she planned this whole thing. So yeah, I was into kind of changing words to songs where I like the melody. I did it to a number of songs, but I wanted to do something special at our wedding, and I liked a song that was from a Broadway musical called Kismet, and that was 1953 Broadway musical. There's a song in there called Stranger in Paradise, And so I just started working with it to change the words so that I could sing it on our wedding day. And I gave the words to my brother, who was best man there, and told him if I forget the words, which I have to do from time to time, he was supposed to give me the words, which he was freaked out and nervous at this point. He didn't know how to fix that. But anyway, I sang it to her, and wow, it's coming up on 50 years. And so, but I'll share that with you today, okay? A cappella, because that's what it was then. Take my hand, for the Lord, He has made us one, to live out our lives each day to the glory of God the Son. If I stand starry-eyed, it's because I'm in love with you, a love that will never die, forever be true. I look at you and I praise Jesus. How could He give to me such grace divine? Now that you're mine, I stand complete, once half, now whole, through the love of our Lord. I'm enraptured with what I see. Only God could create this dream, a dream that for me right now has become a reality. Our lives will begin tonight on a journey through paradise. And so as I sing this song, take my hand and come along. And so as I sing this song, please take my hand and come along.
Really a wonderful journey with him, and I'm so happy that we could share that with you today. And it's been a wonderful almost 50 years together. And just in closing here, it's been really a privilege for me. Thank you for wanting to come to this today and share this day with me. It's been really fun to share the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I do have to make a little shout out to Larry Vineyard, because without him I couldn't have done all this up here. And so, really special. And of course Charlie on sound, appreciate that. Appreciate everything everybody has done, to make this such a lovely occasion. So I just want to close by saying I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving.